I've been thinking about the importance of unity lately, and how, so Jesus talks about, prays often that we will be unified just as him and the Father are unified. And then also in Genesis, it talks about how with the Tower of Babel, God comments that, with them being unified, they can do anything. And then the importance of being equally yoked, which is unity, the importance of being unified in anything really. And it's not even just a biblical concept. Even the world recognizes the importance of unity in terms of actually going somewhere and getting something accomplished. And then this concept of wives submit to your husbands and husbands having the final decision and all of that. And I was just thinking about how important it is for husband and wife, for the whole family to be unified in order to go far. And how, depending on how decisions are made and talked about, can really influence how far you get, and if you're actually able to move forward and accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish versus going in circles or going in different directions. And it makes me think of, it talks about in the Bible how a double-minded man is tossed about on the waves, and if you and your spouse are not on the same page with something, you are one flesh. And so it's as if you're a double-minded person and you're trying to go in two different directions. You're not going to get very far. So even just with the idea of coming to decisions within a relationship or business or friendship or anything, the value of unity is definitely there. And so I was talking with somebody last night about this, and it just made me think about how ideally, I think when coming to decisions, it would be great to be in a place of putting it before God and hearing his voice on it before doing anything at all. Like, so often within the church, I hear that, the guy's the head of the household, therefore he has the final say. And I think oftentimes that can be shooting, like, if a guy were to do that when they're like both people feel very passionately about something, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot, honestly. And even this idea, like, so the verse that talks about wives submit to your husbands, that is not a verse for guys to tell their wives, like, hey, you need to submit to me. That is directed towards the wives as like, this is good for you to do. Just throwing that out there. And so if something is communicated where the guy is like, I'm the guy, you need to submit to me, like, again, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's much better to come to a place where you're unified. I mean, different people see things from different perspectives. We all have different sets of wisdom, and oftentimes when there is disagreement on something, if you can come to a place where you're considering all the factors, everything that's there, really the outcome's going to be better than if you were to do one way or the other, just on their own. And I discovered this through throwing a scavenger hunt party with a roommate of mine, where we have very different values and priorities, and we wanted different things for the scavenger hunt. And so there were a lot of points where we came to where we just disagreed on how it should be done, what kind of prizes we should have. And what was really cool was, with working together and working with her, we both ended up agreeing that, considering both of our perspectives and what we wanted and all of that, like, it turned out way better with coming to a place where we both agreed on what we're going to do in each situation than had either of us just done it our way. Like it came to it was just a much better outcome working together. And it took longer, but having to come to a place where it's like both people were happy was actually a way better outcome. And I think that happens with decisions generally too. And really, personally, I think within a marriage relationship, having both people to kind of be a confirmation from God is really valuable. Like, submitting whatever decision it is to God and saying, like, Lord, put us on the same page. Like, speak to both of us what you're wanting, and waiting until y'all are on the same page before stepping forward has a lot of value. And even so, something else that thrown out there in Genesis, where it refers to the woman as a helpmeet, like, Adam's by himself and the Lord's like, I'll make a helpmeet for him. That word, or suitable helper, depending on your translation, that word helper there is not a subservient peon helper. It's actually the same word that God uses for himself when he powerfully saves Israel. So God has given the woman to men to be a like powerful savior type of helper for them. And I think it's really great when men are not threatened by the giftings and of their wives and of women generally, but actually can encourage and empower women um, to run with their gifts and in their gifts and to help. I mean, like, I personally would love to uh, find someone who's a strong leader who has a vision that I can come alongside and help them, like, make that a reality. And yeah, would love to do that. And at the same time, I think a good leader recognizes the gifts of the people that they have on their team and doesn't need to always make the decision, doesn't need to always be right. Make the decision in the sense of, like, consider what everyone has to say before actually deciding on the course. And yeah, and just getting to a place where you're unified, especially husband and wife, getting to a place where you're unified before moving forward, I think is just really powerful and important. And if anyone puts their foot down and says, this is what we have to do, this is what we are doing, like it or not, it's I would say it's destructive for the relationship, and you're probably shooting yourself in the foot. Much better to come to a place where you're listening to each other, considering each other's perspectives, points of view, coming up with a solution that y'all are both happy with, and also, most importantly, submitting it to God, listening for his voice, hearing what he has to say, and asking him to put you on the same page before moving forward. So just wanted to throw that out there. Unity is super powerful, super important, and is the way to go far, really.